All right. So welcome everybody, and this is another episode of our weekly market analysis. My name remains Adetola-Freeman, and I am the lead instructor at Easy FX Academy. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who is currently here live, and to everyone who is also going to watch later on during the course of the week. I want to say a big thank you and God bless you. Without further ado, we're going to get right into the charts now, and we're going to take a look at what we can expect from the markets during the course of the week and probably for a few more days after this week. All right. With that comes the usual notice to keep glued. All right. Keep yourself focused and glued to some of the fundamental releases that will be coming out this week. All right, because it's the final week of the month thereabouts. All right. So we are expecting we're expecting to a large extent some news releases that can influence the market. So first of all, as usual, we go through the currency indices, and then from there we can formulate a bias for the pairs we're going to be trading. So currently this is DXY, which is the currency index for the US dollar. All right, and according to the analysis that I gave last week, all right, we can see that the dollar dropped quite massively. All right. However, at this point in time, it's not yet extremely clear what the market has in mind. All right, but we can see that there's been a rejection from that other block zone right there. All right. There's been a possible break of structure here, possibly. All right. So based on that, we can expect prices to maybe come back into this region. All right. Let me make that a zone. Wow, so sorry about that. I didn't know there was no audio. Did it just go off or it's been off since we started? I'm really sorry about that. I'm really, really sorry about that. All right, so let's get back into it. Okay, so this is AXY. All right, and this is a zone that I had eyes on. All right, we've seen the reaction from that zone. It's been quite an interesting reaction. Nonetheless, it's not been anything so serious. All right, so it's safe to assume that this bias still stands. Since the 11th of April, I think we can still expect prices to at least come into this area. All right, or at least fill this gap, or fill this gap, and then we can start to talk about expectations for bullish price action. What this means is that if we're talking about bearishness on the dollar, all right, and right now we're talking also about bearishness on the AUD index, all right, we can expect the bullish pressure on on AUD USD to be a bit staggered, all right, to be a bit staggered. We've not seen a break of structure to the downside on AXY, all right, so that means that we might probably see a retest of somewhere around here before we continue lower. All right, that's a very solid possibility right now. Okay, So that's AXY. All right, we're still going to do a comprehensive analysis of AUD, USD, and the likes, just so that we can be able to project likely entry points and things like that. Okay. So this is AXY. Next, we're going to go to BXY, which is the index for the pound. All right. When we start the currency analysis proper, we're going to formulate better entry points. All right. But I remember that on GBP last week, all right, we talked about this interesting zone here that I marked. All right. And as you can see, price tapped into that zone and reacted, found strength. All right, as you can see here. So we found strength for, all right, so we found strength for the pound index, all right, and right about now, please, can we still hear me? I want to be sure we can still hear me, please. Please let me know in the you can still hear me. Oh, all right, beautiful. Okay, I don't want to make the same mistake all over again. Okay, so for the pound index, all right, we talked about having a bullish reaction from here. We've had the bullish reaction. All right, this is another zone that I marked out. So the expectation is that we might probably see prices come this way before we maybe do something like this. All right, so that's my own view of the pound. All right, so we could see some staggering bullish momentum before probably a slight plunge, and then we can start to commence higher. But since this is on the daily time frame, which means that until price gets here on the daily time frame, we're still going to have to hold on to a bullish bias on the pound. All right, the next one we'll take a look at is the CXY, which is the Canadian dollar index. All right, the Canadian dollar index. And I remember that this was a zone that I also marked out for us last week Sunday. All right, the currency indices are moving quite well according to plan. All right, so CXY seems to be clearly bullish. All right, which means that from here we can expect some strong bullish momentum from CXY, at least heading into that zone. All right, we can expect some strong bullish reactions from CXY. What that means is that, for example, USD card is going to have a stronger bearish bias. All right, AUD card is also going to be quite bearish. All right, since those ones are still slightly bearish. All right, so we can expect strength in the Canadian dollar for the coming week, as this is the daily time frame, so we can expect the move to last a little bit longer than the usual 4 hours kind of movements. All right, so for the next couple of days, we're expecting some bullish pressure to continue on the Canadian dollar. All right, the next one we want to take a look at is the EXY, which is the index for the euro. All right, so far on the index for the euro, I think we've seen this reaction from this zone. All right, we've seen that reaction from this zone. That was about 2 weeks ago. All right, and I talked about prices coming down into this area before bouncing up. All right, so we've seen that bounce into this zone. We're currently seeing that movement higher. All right, so that means it's safe to call it bullish on the euro. All right, it's safe to call it bullish on the euro. However, we might just have something along this line. All right, so this is the daily time frame. So that means that our bias for the week is majorly or largely bullish. All right, our bias for the week is largely bullish, and we can begin to expect some bullish pressure on the EXY. All right. I think there's NZD index. I'm not really sure. All right. Yeah, there's NZD index. So we can quickly take a look at that as well. Okay. So the NZD index is at a key zone. All right. Which is a zone from where we might begin to see this kind of movement. All right. Such that we take out this equal lows right here. And then come into this other block zone, which is looking like a more interesting area. All right. So that's for NZD. So we're expecting it to be quite bullish. So we can talk about, let's go into the currency pairs right now. And at this point, I would like to say that if you have a commodity that you would like to request that we take a look at, all right, please drop that request in the group right about now, all right, so that I can get to it as we continue here, all right. So we're going to start with the usual, the majors, all right. This is GBPUSD. All right, this GBPUSD, however, on the daily time frame. So let's go a little lower to the 4 hours time frame. On the 4 hours time frame, I remember that this was the bias that I gave us, all right, that we were expecting some bullish pressure to come in from this point, all right. To confirm that, let me quickly check BXY if we're clearly bullish on BXY. All right, this is the 4 hours on BXY. We might go bearish a little bit, probably into this area. All right, but nonetheless, let's go back to GU. The reason why I'm saying that is on GU, I want to see what becomes of these areas, all right, of these zones. All right, I want to see what becomes of that area, all right. So the kind of breakouts that we have from this area will determine what my bias would conclude towards, all right, what direction my bias will conclude towards. I'm overall bullish on GU, all right, but nonetheless, I want to be able to see something clear. I remember last week I told us that GU was going to come into this zone, all right. When it comes into this zone, I'm expecting it to do a bit of a bearish move, all right, come into maybe this other block here, all right, or maybe even, you know, all this week down here, so that we can start to go bullish, all right. GU so far has only moved close to that zone and has not tested into it clearly yet, all right. So we might see there's a two-way scenario that we're looking at here, which means if price breaks out bullish, all right, we're expecting this to play out, all right, and if price breaks out bearish, we're expecting this to play out, all right, and then we can resume the overall uptrend, all right. So these are the scenarios that we can begin to look out for GU, all right. So quickly, let's go to EU, which is EURUSD. All right, so far EURUSD has played out quite nicely. All right, so far EURUSD has played out quite nicely. We've had some amazing entries on EURUSD so far. I think I showed us this area last week. Price got into it, reacted as expected, came to my take profit. All right. However, right now we're stuck between these equal highs, all right, and then this trend line, which liquidity might, the market makers might want to take out liquidity from that zone, such that we begin to see a reaction from this other block here. All right, we might begin to see reactions from somewhere around that point of interest. All right, so such that we see price bounce into this, maybe break structure, something like that. This is all just hypothetical, all right? It's just my own bias, all right? But I'm expecting at least price to come into this other block, all right, so that I can have a proper bias for entry, all right? There's also that possibility that price only tests into this other block zone and then shoots all the way back up here, or maybe even higher to this point, all right? There's a huge possibility that that happens, all right? But this is what we're looking out for. So based on your own entry criteria during the week, you can just refine all of this broad biases, all right? You can refine it and just streamline it to be able to figure out your own preferred entry, all right? So that's EURUSD. Let's go to USD CAD. We've talked about some bullish pressure on the Canadian dollar, all right? So the expectation is that we should see some strong bearish on the USD CAD, all right? Some strong bearish on the USD CAD. So far, we're seeing some interesting movements on USD CAD. I lost a couple of trades here. Okay, I lost just this one. This one was taken out quite early because I noticed that something was afoot. All right, something fishy was afoot. All right, but here, there's this entry that is doing quite well at the moment. We've broken out of the structure down here. All right, we've created a one low. All right, price has tested into this very strong pivot that I drew from the weekly time frame. All right, so the possibilities remain that. Oh, sorry, this is USD JPY. Sorry about that. So the possibilities remain that from this zone we continue bearish. All right, and that reminds me we've not had a look at JPY basket. Sorry, that's supposed to be JPY basket. All right, so this is JPY basket on 4 hours time frame, and I believe we can all agree with me that this has clearly broken structure to the upside, all right, as a bullish break of structure. Okay, such that we can begin to expect price to give us some sort of a reaction from preferably this zone, all right, somewhere around here. Okay, so the expectation is we test into here and then maybe come a bit higher than this, maybe to this level, all right. That would make a lot more sense for me personally. That's from a diagram that I drew during one of my tutorials, so pay no attention to that. Okay, so till price comes into this point of interest over here. All right, so if JPY, if we're bullish on JPY, it simply means that USD JPY should be bearish. Come on. Okay, so we're expecting bullish pressure on USD JPY. And coupled with the fact that I think USD JPY just approached, I think it's an all-time high or something, right? But something very close to that. Okay, so the expectation is that prices should, at least drop a lot lower. We've had a hell of a liquidity grab, all right? So the expectation is that we come all the way lower. Maybe we might stop here, but I think I want to go for something maybe even deeper. All right, but that's just me. So that means that you might want to wait for a clear break of structure here, all right, before taking your own entry, all right. See price break below here, come back for a retest of this other block and then drop, all right. But all the same, do what works for you, all right. Analyze it based on your preferred entry schematics or entry criteria, all right, and then we can talk about all of this later on, all right, during the course of the week. So that's USD JPY. I think we want to take a look at AUD USD. Remember that the bias on AUD is bullish, all right. The bias on USD is bearish, okay. And I remember that last week I told us to expect prices to come up here, all right, from here, then bounce lower, all right, and then we can resume back up, all right. And you can see that this played out perfectly, all right. So for those who have been complaining or who have been trying to reach out to me to say, oh, I don't give setups, I don't give signals. Oh, yeah, set signals. I said signals. All right. I don't know what else to expect. All right. If I'm giving you clear directional biases like this on a weekly basis, I expect that to some extent you should be able to figure out what you want to be able to do with this information. All right. So do with this information what you will, but just know that I have acted in your best interest. All right, so on the 4 hours time frame, AUD USD, the bias remains bullish. All right, so whatever criteria you want to use to validate that bullish bias, all right, that's totally up to you and it's totally fine. All right, I'm okay with that. But just make sure that you're able to make the most of this information, as and when due. All right, up next, we want to take a look at GBPJPY. I think the bias still remains bearish. It might not be all too bearish, all right. It might not be all too bearish, seeing how that price is currently reacting to this zone here. All right, price is currently reacting to this zone here. So we might just clear out all the way and do something along this line. All right, something along these lines. So for me, I would personally be hoping to see this break, All right, this break of structure, and then perhaps a clear retest that would validate to me that yes, price has made up its mind and that we are completely bearish. All right, so that's my personal bias. Do with that information what you will. All right, so that's GBPJPY. Someone has requested that we take a look at Nasdaq. All right, so we'll do US 100. I gave a bias on this last week. It's a pity that many people didn't seize that opportunity. All right, this was the bias I gave last week. It was a very clear one. I talked about entering from the 0.5 of the fib. I talked about entering from the 0.5 of the fib, all right, and that was exactly what price has done so far. All right, this has been over 1:3 so far, and we're still shooting quite higher, because my overall target is that price comes into this POI right over here. All right, and then we can refine that on the lower time frame to search for possible bearish entries. All right, but for now, I think the overall bias on Nasdaq remains bullish. All right, still remains bullish. I think we talked about US 30 last week as well. All right, and the bias I gave last week was bullish, and as we can see, that is exactly also playing out right about now. All right, so this was the overall bias. All right, price testing into this area, coming here, maybe dropping a bit lower. All right, maybe perhaps into this area. All right, and then from there we can see that bullish reaction continuing. All right, but altogether, that's my bias on US 30 for those who are interested in trading this. All right, for those who are interested in trading this. All right, so we can also take a look at gold, USD, Xa USD. I think so far gold has been quite tricky. All right, but nonetheless, my entry on gold from last week, most of them played out quite nicely. I think we had this overall one. I had some. I gave this bias as last week that we're going to see price drop this way, come into this zone. All right, so I took the overall position from there. My stop loss was below this week right here that gave us that other block. All right, and basically I took this. That was a 1:11, played out quite nicely, and then price took me out on this other trade here that was supposed to be a 1:5. Yeah, 1:5. All right. But so far, my overall position still stands. My overall bias still stands. We are bearish on the dollar, on the DXY. All right. So that means ultimately that we should expect some bullish reactions, on the on gold. All right. At least till we come into this area. All right, which is my POI for an entry. All right. So that POI is my expectation. When price gets there, I'll be expecting some head of a bearish movement, all right, because the reaction we have had from that other block has been massive, all right, really, really massive. Okay, so the bias on Xa USD remains bullish. All right, so that's still my overall bias on gold. All right, so I need us to make requests for what commodity would like me to take a look at right now, all right, so that we can just give everybody exactly what it is that they want to see, all right, and not just run through the commodities that I want to show you, all right, because the essence of this weekly market review is that you have a bias to work with during the trading week, all right, and that you are able to position yourself much better for profits all through the week, all right. So just type whatever commodity you want us to take a look at in the group. All right, just type it inside the Telegram group, big group right about now. All right, so that I can address that right away. All right, so I'm going to give a couple of minutes, like 2-3 minutes, so that we can wrap up on that. And in the meantime, I want to make a clear announcement. All right, I'm going to be giving away a free slot to join my mentorship program. For those who know about the mentorship program, currently the mentorship program goes for a fee of about $500. All right, it's a lifetime mentorship program that gives you access to, weekly market reviews, my trading biases, my personal trading setups. All right, in the VIP groups, one-on-one sessions, direct mentorship from time to time. All right, and 100% lifetime access to the course portal where you can always go through the course videos again and again as many times as you want. All right, It's not a subscription-based program. It's a one-time payment that covers all of these amazing things. All right. So during the course of the week, I'm going to be giving away one free ticket to my mentorship program. All right. And the task is going to be announced in the group during the course of the week. It's a simple task, something really, really simple that anybody can do. All right. And we're going to be selecting the person with the best submission, and then from there, we're going to come up with, we're going to give the person access to the portal and follow up mentorship. All right. So, having said that, I think Mr. Roderick just dropped a commodity. If you also have a commodity you desire that we take a look at, please also drop that in the group. All right. So GBPAUD. All right, GBPUSD, I remember that this was the setup that I communicated. I think I dropped the setup. I can't remember which of the groups right now, but this was the setup that I gave. So far, we've seen GBPUSD play out according to my initial bias. All right, so let me just clear off all of this jargon. All right, so right about now, let's go to the 2 hours or 1 hour time frame. Let's see that clearly. All right. Remember that our overall bias on AUD is that AUD is supposed to be bullish. All right, and right about now we've seen price do this. All right, break out of this channel. So basically, my expectation would be that okay, where would be the best point for take profit? Let's just say down here. Yeah. Okay, so let me see on the 1 hour time frame if there's anything clearer. Okay, I think that's one end of the week. All right, so basically maybe half of that week would do. All right, so this is my bias on GBPAUD. All right, so when price gets into this area of interest, all right, I want to be able to see what price has up its sleeves, all right, and then I can be able to streamline my entry, refine it a lot better so that I can get some quality risk to reward ratios, all right. So does any other person have any commodity they would like us to take a look at quickly? One more commodity, please. One more commodity so that we can wrap up for tonight. Mr. Tim, GBPUSD. So this was NZD-JPY, all right? And I think clearly NZD-JPY should still be bearish. But I think it should still continue bearish. All right, I think it should still continue bearish. All right, so we have two commodities, EURUJPY and the BTC-USD. I remember this was the NZD-JPY analysis from last week's webinar. All right, played out quite nicely. I still have a 1:6 overall target that I'm waiting for price to reach. All right, so let's quickly take a look at EURUJPY before we go to GBPUSD. All right, so as you can see, EURUJPY took me out last week. One of the entries played out quite nicely was 1 to 10. All right, this other one didn't do so well. All right, but price came all together to this overall order block here. all right, that I drew is a pivot zone that I drew from the weekly time frame, right? So right about now, we're seeing price go back higher, all right. So I'm going to just mark out a few POIs that that are worth taking a look at. All right, so these are the POIs that I would be personally interested in. All right, we've seen the break of structure right around here. All right, we've seen that break of structure quite clearly. So we're basically expecting prices to, you know, rally around like this, maybe come into that POI or the one above it, all right, and then we can see maybe something along these lines all the way down here. All right, so basically all through the week, I'm going to be watching out for what price presents me so that I can be able to find the best entry schematics to seize the day. All right, so that's basically what it is that we're doing at the moment. All right, so that's EURUJPY. Let's quickly go to BTC USD. All right, so BTC USD is a tricky one. All right, has been for quite a while. All right, let's see this. All right, so currently this is what BTC is doing, all right, which is a rising wedge. I wouldn't be so sure about bullish positions at the moment. I think we can have something in this similitude. Okay, what's going on? Okay. That's if we're going to see some bullish pressure at all. All right, that's if we're going to see some bullish pressure at all. All right, but this is the target where I think it will be safe to take an entry. BTC has to just retest the 18,000 region. All right, it just has to. All right, 18,000 thereabouts. So that's for BTC USD. I don't have much to say about cryptos in general. All right, it's been a tumultuous time for crypto traders. All right, and largely because many of them are inexperienced at at proper technical analysis. All right, because the signs of a BTC crash were very evident from the top here. It's unfortunate that I closed my BTC USD position here. All right, I had two positions running on BTC USD at this point. All right, it's quite unfortunate that I closed them because I can't imagine what it would be if I had kept those positions on till till probably the 18,000 area. All right, that's already 1:32. I'm coming. I'm just trying to play around with this for a while. All right, so don't mind me. This is me just playing around. Okay. All right, so the first trade would have been approximately 1:125. Okay, 1:128. All right, the second one would have been about 1:107. All right, so I actually saw that sell coming. All right, but it was quite obvious. All right, it was quite obvious. We had several breaks of structure. We have the retest of this that other block after a liquidity grab. All right, so there was so much going on BTC that many people really didn't understand. All right, even from the very onset, all right from the onset, we had the break of structure, break of trend line, price continued lower, right? Created several other blocks, right? Created several other blocks, and price kept testing into them one after the other and then dropping, right? Kept testing into them one after the other and then dropping. So, well, I'm not very good at consoling people, but nonetheless, I think it's safe to say that if you're a crypto trader, please stay clear of stacking or buying the dip right now. All right, the safest dip to buy would be somewhere around the retest of the 18K region. All right, that would be the safest dip to buy if I were in your shoes. All right. So I think we've treated all the commodities that that have been requested in the group so far. Nasdaq, GBPUSD, BTC USD, Euro, JPY. Does anybody have one last commodity they want to request? Just one last commodity before we wrap up for tonight. One last commodity, please. Just type it in the group and let's get that dealt with right about now. I'm waiting. I have my eyes glued to the group right about now. Okay, you said you missed AUD USD. Okay, so we'll just go over AUD USD quickly. All right, so this is AUD USD. We have a bullish bias altogether on AUD. All right, when we check the AXY, and then the bearish bias on the USD, which makes it quite easy for us to conclude that we should see some bullish reaction on AUD USD. Okay, so right about now, I think we should see prices come up all this way. All right, probably maybe we see a reaction from here. Right, just maybe. All right, prices come lower, and then we can talk about. So it doesn't look like I'm too optimistic. All right, maybe up to this zone. All right, even though my overall target will be somewhere around here. All right, somewhere around this other block. Okay, so I think that settles it. I think we're all clear about this. Like I said, this is a weekly market review. It's free to join. All right, the link is always in the description. You can always join our weekly market review every Sunday, 10 p.m. West African time. All right, it's completely free. But during the week, I'm going to be dropping a task that whoever does that task best, all right, whoever performs that task the best, will automatically get free access to my mentorship program, which is currently at a fixed price of $500. All right. So just wait for the task. Stay tuned to the group. All right. Like I said, stay active in the group, and you just might be the one to to get that slot. This is something that we're going to be doing. Maybe not every month, but at least once in a while when I'm really impressed with the engagement in the group, I could just throw out an opportunity to join the mentorship program completely free of charge. All right. So having said that, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined this program. I want to say a big thank you to you for watching, for staying tuned. It's been a pleasure having you and hosting you. My name remains Adetola-Freeman, and I want to say have a beautiful, blessed, and profitable trading week. God bless you, and have a lovely night. Bye-bye.